Okay, so I have a question from Morgan. Uh, Morgan, considering the scenario, the way technology is changing very, very rapidly, especially we have seen in just last 2 years of COVID times, we have seen acceleration of 20 years in this 2 years time in terms of technology. I think the metaverse, blockchain, these were just names earlier and probably not many people were even aware. And I have a belief, and is that whatever we were supposed to see that in 2050, we will actually see that as reality by 2030 today. I mean, and but in spite of that, I sincerely believe that these technologies are just as a start of a, just a tip of an iceberg. And there are many more aspects which are going to come in. How do you see the world moving from the technology perspective? And especially when it comes to the robo human world, wherein practically what I feel is that the jobs which are there in the local environment, the blue collar workers jobs, which we say typically in like hotels, you have a service, waiters, or people who are working in a maybe as a ground staff. So it will become like a completely humanless environment. And how do you see more technologies, and maybe what kind of technologies may evolve over a period of time? And what are the different aspects which a human being has to develop as a skill set to survive in this robo-human world?
Okay, that's
I know it's a little tough question, but
very,
I'm just trying to, kind of understand. It's just a discussion right now. It's probably not a question, but
yeah. No, it's a very, very, very relevant question. Tough but relevant, and the reason why I say tough is because when we look back at 2015, and in an interview you're sitting and they're going to ask you, so in 5 years' time, where do you see yourself? Would you have said, okay, there's going to be COVID, and COVID really changed everything,
absolutely.
So yeah, but I mean, look, in that 5 years, and when we hit COVID, our lives changed phenomenally, and when we look at from a technology perspective, working from home became the normal, and everyone needed to ready it. And I'm going to give you an example of what happened. I mean, my businesses struggled really badly in the first, I would say the first 8 months, until we reached lockdown 5. And, and I think people were just more scared than anything else, and not understanding the whole context. But I think afterwards, once they got used to the whole thing in 2 years, I mean, COVID lockdown ran for 2 years. That's 2022 already. People started becoming more, open. And, we made drastic changes to our business from a process perspective. I didn't draw a salary for 8 months. My bank was calling me, I was in arrears on my bond. So it was struggling, things like that. But the processes that we did place in kind of worked. And, the sacrifices that we made as a business, as an entrepreneur, worked now, and we are actually doing pretty well now coming out of COVID. And the restrictions are relaxed. But just going back to your point in terms of technology, and it's technology really for us. It's doing wonders for the world, I believe. And I'm very pro technology. I believe, yes, whatever's currently happening, what's the next step, the metaverse, and there's a purpose for all that, and there's a purpose the way the world is actually going. And if you look at it beyond billionaires trying to make money like Facebook and stuff, social media was such a big game changer, whether it was from a political perspective, whether it is from a community perspective, socialism and capitalistic. If you look at the benefits of all the technology that came in at that point, why it came in at that point, so when you say it is transitioning quicker, I look at Moore's law. Moore's law is not valid anymore. Back in the days, they said that, the transistors will literally double every year. But now it's, at the speed of our computers are just phenomenally, what we try to achieve. I mean, well, if we can't go beyond a certain gigahertz limit, we, move to different cores. We're placing it at different cores, opening up more threads, and that's just going to more detail, and that's changing the game, and that's helping us deliver more data efficiently, collecting more data, how we structure unfiltered or unstructured data into structured data, and making it and packaging it into something that we can actually comprehend. And for me, and going back to your point, it really, in the last 2 years, I mean, if we take the 80s to the 90s, client server, from what a 4-hour now is doing, and with blockchain and things, and the level of computing power, quantum computing, you're right, 2 years, within 2 years, we reached such phenomenal, and we're getting there, we're going there. So sometimes, businesses use technology in terms of what they need and their business requirements, right? But I definitely feel that it is going to be it change, not 2050, we're going to see it sooner, in 2030. But what I'm scared about is that our curriculum, and this is going back to my presentation, our curriculum and the jobs that are being created are taking too long to keep up with that. And I feel that, in my opinion, we have the ability, we have the skills, we have the resources to make, to take this technology and make it work for us. Make it work in terms of in the sense that we can educate people, we can skill them, we can make them more flexible, we can make them more adaptable, so that we can grow with this technology. And then going back to your point, there's a whole lot of variables. The economy, for us in South Africa, right? Our leadership, government leadership, is very political, very, very political. And when you put variables like politics into certain things, it's going to impact on corruption, which is currently happening. This can be on the record because it's in the news. There's corruption. People only want to see, that they families grow, and who's in government or whatever the case may be. Our service levels have really dropped. Education has dropped. Unemployment is through the roof. So, and that is because of politics. So where do you draw the line now? How do you make this happen? Where now, and when you look at, when I say, public, private sector need to get involved, but also communities, communities also make the economy, so what are you as someone as a customer or someone in society, what role are you playing now? You also want to be part of climate change. What role are you playing from a community perspective? So yeah, for me, technology is definitely going at a phenomenal pace. I don't think we are keeping up with it. And I think there's a whole lot of other variables that are coming into play, like politics as one example. And then going back to, it depends on the industry. There's certain processes that you need to look at. What are your business requirements? Looking back at the restaurant industry, for example, you can have your different payment methods. Sometimes we don't use cash anymore. We use our phone to tap, to pay for our meals, whatever. But then, you can't let go of waiters and waitresses. That's the human component that we need from an empathy perspective, where we're serving people in the restaurant to give them that whole feel. So there is that distinction. Technology is not the be all and end all, right? Technology is a tool that we use to improve efficiencies, to improve convenience, to improve the way we do things, right? So it's all about people, processes. And once we get people, processes, and businesses right, then we know where we can fit in the skills element, the training, the education, and then how we use technology to better, So yeah, I hope that kind of answers the question, but that's my opinion on where I feel. But then again, I'm also talking from a South Africa perspective. India could also be. I've been to Bangalore, and Bangalore's tech was just on another level as well. Uh, that was just, it was great. So there's different variances and different variables that come into play when you look at different countries and such. But yeah, very good, valid points you made there. And you're right. I'm definitely going to see a lot of traction before 2050. 2030 is on the agenda, but I mean, look at it. We're only 8 years away. So yeah, that's my input for that.
Thank you so much, Morgan. I think that's very nicely, and you have explained that. And frankly, future is totally unknown. But still, I think we could see few things out there. But let's see how it evolves. So thank you so much for answering.